Alright, we're here with Bruce. Bruce has a Jeep you put a FiTech system on, so why don't you tell us why you put a FiTech on it?
It's a 91 Wrangler and we put a 355 in it, and we went with the FiTech so I could get it through emissions. I live in Lake County, Indiana, where emissions are a big problem for older vehicles. So, you know, I was going to put universal cats on it and actually get it to go through emissions. So that way I could get it plated. It had a 4150 truck Avenger on it, and you know, it had a little flat spot in it, and I thought, well, let's step up to the new age and go fuel injection. So I invested in their fuel delivery system as well as the Power Adder 600, mainly not for nitrous or the turbo, but for the pro tuning section that was offered in it. And since it went on, when I first got it, we put it on the Jeep and it did not work. And consequently,
you can check it.
Consequently, we sent it back, and that held up things for another month to 6 weeks. And you know, at that time, I had actually hired a working ASC certified mechanic to put it on, so it wasn't like I messed it up or anything else. He knew what he was doing. It just didn't work. So they supposedly fixed it, repaired it, whatever, sent it back. We put it on my Jeep, and it runs good. I like how it runs, I like how it starts, everything, but the problem is the heat keeps climbing on it. When it was first installed, the gentleman I hired to put it on called me and said, you know, it's sitting in his driveway and it's idling at 220, and he can't get the temperature down on it. Well, you know, I'm checking around, they're saying 220 is not uncommon. I called FiTech and their service people, and they said, well, it is going to run hotter than a carburetor because it's more economical, it's more efficient, as they put it. So, you know, I tried to make it work, but, you know, I had 2,600 miles on that motor when it overheated, and I cracked the heads on it, and consequently it wiped out. And so, you know, that was 3 years ago. I bought FiTech's product, and you know, it went on a back burner, and during that period of the past 3 years, I've had 8 heart attacks and other medical issues, and now I'm back into it. So, you know, I'm reaching out to FiTech, and hopefully you guys can help me, you know, make this thing work. If we can't make it work, I can't afford to lose another engine, so I'm going to pull it off and go back to a carburetor. And if that's all I do and it runs 190 to 200 degrees, well, I don't know what you're going to do with your product, because I don't know what else to do with it. Maybe you can help me out. We're going to do the data log, and I'm sending you a video. So hopefully you people at FiTech, I really pray you can help me out, because I really need to get this in my rearview mirror. I got other projects.
So what was the temperature when you had the carburetor out?
It ran between 190 and 200. The same fan setup without the shroud that has been installed since then, trying to get more airflow going to it. It ran 190 to 200, and at that point in time, the fan was on the thermostat control, and it would kick off and on. You know, in fact, it ran on the cool side. If I let it set for, you know, 5-10 minutes, the electric choke would actually kick on the carburetor. You know, this one, it runs great and everything else. My problem is the temperature. I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. I'm not running it over 230 degrees, which by everybody's standpoint, that's hot. So, but, you know, I have a 97 Yukon I bought new, and the temperature gauge on it for the Vortex says 260. So I know I haven't hurt the motor yet, and I'm not going to. So we got to try and figure this out. So that's where we're at. So we're going to send you a data log, and with the assistance of my friend Jay, you know, he's very familiar with this. He's tried to help me out with it, and we've exercised just about everything we know to do, except go back to a carburetor. And you know, I really don't want to do that. I've got quite the initial investment in the FiTech. And when I go to car shows, or you know, the Jeep night or something like that, I get approached not because it's a V8 Jeep. There's lots of those, but I get approached because it has a FiTech on it. And you know, this past weekend, it was Father's Day. They had a car show. I could have sold 5 of these things, but you know, I'm on the fence. You know, it runs good, starts good, everything else. but I can't get the heat down on it. And like I said, it's to be continued. So if you guys can help me out, it's a fairly mild small block. I've got the front fan on an electric switch. It's not even on a thermostat because I'm scared of the heat. When I get in, the first thing I do is, turn the fan on. So the initial base timing is set at 12 degrees. We came up with that by actually setting it at 34 degrees total advance at 3,000 RPM, which, by the way, is scary. So when it came to idle, it showed 12 degrees initial timing. So that's what it's set at. We've got the AFR toned down from 13.9 from the V8 program number to 13.4 right now, and we just went back to that because 12.9, one full point seemed to be too rich. But on the fat side, I wouldn't think it would be getting continually hotter and hotter and hotter. When I first started the motor, it was at like 14, and my headers turned orange, and my engine temperature was only like 185, 190. So we fattened it up. That brought the header temperature down on it, but this temperature continues to climb. So we're going to do the data log with the basic parameters, which is what your guy George told me to do, and take a video of it while it's warming up. So hopefully you can tell me what's going on.
So, since this is going to be on YouTube as well as we're sending this to FiTech, just to fill in a little bit of the information, the fuel trims have been adjusted several different times. The timing's been adjusted. He's went to the point of putting a shroud around the fan to try and push air through it because everybody kept saying it just wasn't getting enough air. It's got so much force now that you can't hold a piece of paper against the back of it, so that should be more than enough. The funny thing about it is the temperature doesn't change whether you're sitting still or you're driving it down the road. It still overheats. He's put wrap around the spark plug wires and all that stuff because the headers are getting so hot that it was actually melting the spark plug wires. So FiTech's going to want to know, I'm sure everybody else wants to know, what motor do you got in this, etc.
Well, it's a 30 thousandths over 350, so it's a 355 cubic inch. It has a Paper Tiger cam, which is basically the thumper. I put this together for my spouse, so I really don't want to give her a big horsepower motor, just something that was dependable. It does have aftermarket heads on it, so it's got Flowmax 202 heads on it and headers. Other than that, the FiTech is the brain of it, and I thought I would have reliability as well as decent performance. So that's why we went with it, because here in the county I live in, we have to pass emissions to plate our vehicles. And even though it's over 25 years old, I still have to meet the emissions for a 91 Jeep Wrangler. So
now, with or without the thermostat, it's still overheating.
It does. In fact, we even gutted the thermostat, cut the housing, and removed the spring and the diaphragm from it. And it seemed to help somewhat, but it still climbs. It's just slow.
All right. Well, I guess we'll start her up and we'll see what she does.
Sounds good.
That's with the fan on non-stop and this one on it. Sucking cool air. 25 minutes, running at idle with fresh air on it. It's running 221 and still climbing. Alright, so we killed it at, what, 25 minutes?
25 minutes idling, and it was at 221. That's too hot.
So hopefully FiTech will take care of us. If they can't, then we're going to put a carburetor on it. Either way, we'll get her taken care of.
I guess it's to be continued.